two, one. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the all new TTown 411 report and our community conversation. I'm already getting texts. People want to know what's going on with the TTown 411. We're broadcasting live, of course, from McKinstry Banquet Hall, located at 5480 Jug Factory Road, right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's a special place for special people for all special occasions. We're also broadcasting live on Soundbooth Radio. Mike, tell them how can they sound in on Soundbooth Radio and Soundbooth TV.
Sure thing, Daryl. Check us out on Soundbooth Radio. On the radio side of Soundbooth Radio, just go to your Google Play Store or your iOS and download the Live 365 app. Once you download that Live 365 app, type in the search bar Soundbooth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the radio side of Soundbooth Radio. Check us out on the video side of Soundbooth Radio. Just go to Facebook or you can go to YouTube, type in Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the video side of Sound Booth Radio or Sound Booth TV.
Well, as always, we provide you with the COVID update and the monkeypox update with our very own Ms. Veronica Taylor. Veronica, tell them how can they give us the information update on COVID and monkeypox.
Okay, good evening, Daryl. Hello, Mike, and everybody in the chat. C19 update for today, September 27, 2022. Per the New York Times, states that there is an average of 757 cases per day reported in Alabama this past week. Cases have decreased by 37% from the average 2 weeks ago. Deaths have decreased by 9%. And as you know, DCH will update on Wednesday. On last week, they updated on Thursday. So assuming they were just a day behind, and we should get an update from our regional hospital tomorrow. As far as the monkeypox update, there are 25,341 total confirmed cases in the United States. 115 of those are in Alabama, 2,501 in Florida. Georgia has 1,773, Mississippi 82, Tennessee 284.
Well, as always, we try to provide a prayer for everyone who's going through whatever they might be going through in their family lifetime as of right now. We're going to say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get to our topic tonight, our debate, whichever way you want to call it. If you would, just bow your heads and pray along with me as we pray for everyone. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to just share among our community a great conversation. Heavenly Father, right now we want to give you all the praise and give you all the glory. We want to thank you for your mercy, Heavenly Father, that given us opportunity to be here. We're praying for everyone right now. We're praying for everyone that's on this app right now. Heavenly Father, we're praying that you continue to watch over and cover them and their families, Veronica and Mike and their families, as well as myself. And Father, we're praying for all our doctors and nurses and the essential workers in the hospitals and the nursing home. I want to say a special prayer for our military and our police officers and all our first responders. We want you to continue to watch over them and go with them as they protect us each and every day, Heavenly Father. Right now, we're asking that you continue to go to the hospitals and let your son heal those right now, Heavenly Father, that need a healing. We're asking that you continue to go out in the byways and highways and protect those in the streets right now. We're praying for those that are going through financial burdens. We're praying for those that are going through drug problems, drinking problems, whatever problems they're going for. We're praying for them right now that they will overcome it, Heavenly Father. Right now, we're praying for all the doctors and all the pastors and ministers right now. We're praying for them, Heavenly Father. We ask that you continue to touch their heart and give them the word to bring to us each and every day. Right now, Heavenly Father, we're praying for those that are sick. We're praying for those that are going through bereavement right now. Heavenly Father, let them know that your will has been done. Heavenly Father, we're asking all of these prayers in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. We pray, amen, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Just want to say thank you for everyone that's chiming in each and every week on the program. I want to say special hello and birthdays to three special people. My daughter Aaliyah McKinstry had a birthday on September the 20th. My son on September the 25th, Ladarian McKinstry, and my daughter is today, Brianna. And so we'd like to say happy birthday to all of you all on the program tonight. We got a great show for you tonight. We got a great show, and it's the prison debate. That's what I'm calling it. It's the prison debate. I mean, it's a situation now that uh, people have brought to my attention. It's been brought to several people's attention. I'm gonna try to give people a few more minutes to chime in on it. I don't know if it's in. Oh, okay. There are some comments. Let me see. I don't know why I'm not seeing comments on there. So, hello, Kai Porter, Daniel Van Horn. Thank you for all you do. Thank you all for chiming in. We're gonna give people a few more. Belinda Hargreaves, how you doing? Thank you for watching. We might have to. Oh, let's see. Might have to change my format and do something here. But what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna come right back, and then we're gonna start this conversation. Hey, Lala, we're gonna start this conversation relating to uh, the prison debate. That's what I'm calling it. It's a prison debate because I'm pretty sure it's going to be some things said or someone said I said that's relevant. And let me go ahead and put my disclaimer on there. The opinions expressed in this presentation are my personal opinions or the opinions of the others and must not be construed as representing the opinion of any institution with which I am or have been affiliated in my personal or professional business. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to get into our debate in just a moment. We're going to play two commercials and we'll be back and we'll be ready to go at it. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Hello? Hey, Rick. I had to call you to tell you that the food that you brought to the party last night was wonderful. It made me think about my grandmother's cooking. Where did you get that food, brother? I went down to Thomas Rib Shack to pick up the ribs, but when I got there, I seen that they had more than just ribs. I seen baked chicken, fried chicken, corn muffins, vegetables, apple pie, peach pie, and I looked around and I seen a sign that told me that they got chitlins and oxtails on Sunday. Oh, all I can tell you, go down to 2931 15th Street or just give them a call like I did at area code 205-759-5010. Thomas Rib Shack, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Well, we're back, y'all. I'm sorry about that. The other commercial wasn't ready to play yet. So we're going to dive right into our conversation tonight. Our conversation tonight is the prison debate. The prison debate. And I see what's going on with that. I need to change that right quick. Da, 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 da. Yeah. We're going to be talking about the prison debate tonight. And okay, everyone has seen or might have seen the pictures on Facebook relating to the young man that, went to prison in Elmore County and um, I guess you can say had some illnesses or uh, his family has spoken out for him. We're going to play a quick portion of a news article about that and then we'll come back and talk about it. But what I want to do is make sure everyone, the pros and cons of this, and let me make sure everyone is still on here with me. Mike, now. Okay, Mike Nim is still there. The pros and cons of this is I supposed to have a few people that's gonna call in and I have a few correction officers that I know that might want to put some information out here in relating to this. But you know, you've seen the pictures. We've all seen the pictures of the young man that was in prison. That's in prison. I'm not saying he's still in prison, and he was in prison. And I'm trying to get to it before I bring that up, I guess you can say. Um, but the pictures show the young man is appearing to be malnourished, undertaken care of.
There.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I know you read the disclaimer, but do you have the copyright infringement going across the?
I don't have I clean the
Because
board up.
that is YouTube, and um, YouTube follows that a lot. So I don't know if I use that video. I don't know. Facebook is funny with music, but I just know the copyright disclaimer usually works way better with YouTube if you're using if you're using one of those YouTubes that I sent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do.
I don't know if you can scroll. I don't know what program is if it can scroll across, or at least just be placed on there.
I just want to really just put up the picture. I think that'll be just fine. I think the picture speaks volume for itself. I think.
Okay. With Canva, if you just put up a picture, then together. For a few seconds or a couple of minutes, it should be sharp. Probably okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Can we get that? And we want you all to please join in on this conversation too, because it's let's see here. Let's see, okay. I'm just showing bits and pictures of the picture of the young man. His name is these are just photos that were taken that's on the web of the young man. And this has went national. This has went national. This is what he originally looked like, from my understanding, in June 2022. June 2022. Right here. Very healthy young man. And as of September the 3rd or 5th, this is what he looked like. September. This is him today, September the 21st, 2022, somebody said. So that's what we're debating. I mean, but my point, I guess my point is, and I do have some other facts that I want to bring up. Veronica, when you see these pictures, Mike, and I know you can't see it, but you might have heard about it. When you see the pictures, it seems like the Alabama Department of Correction is mistreating this young man, or has mistreated him, hadn't fed him, like he's on a hunger strike, or his medical care has been neglected. And I, one person I was talking to earlier is, and the question he wanted to bring out is, we want to define what prison is. We want to define what prison is, and everyone, in a short meaning, these 3 points is all mean the same. Prison is a building which people are legally held as a punishment for crime they have committed. In other words, is a state of confinement or captivity, a place of confinement, especially for lawbreakers, specifically. And it's also a place for criminals convicted of serious crimes. So my debate earlier today, or my conversation earlier today, was, what is the purpose of having a prison? I mean, the answer was, don't do the crime. You won't have to worry about doing the time under under these conditions. Um, all these came from the Alabama Department of Correction. I have some statistics. According to the statistics, there's a total of 25,624 people that are in the Alabama Department of Corrections. And these numbers do not include inmates that are youth offenders. It goes on to say that females, there are 2,209. In males, there are 23,415. If you want to break it down by race, White females 1,664.54. Black males 13,014. Black females 548, and white males 10,186, and a very low number of others. I know people saying, put the number up. I got to put the number up for if you want to call in and be a part of the conversation. But prison is not meant to be a five-star hotel. I don't know how many people will agree with me on that and how many people disagree with me that. But a prison is not meant to be a five-star hotel where you're comfort to or catered to, I guess you can say, to your comfort and needs. Now, I do know there are policies and procedures in place that the state of Alabama would not or should not violate human rights to medical care, treatment of any sort, and I have some issues with this case that we're seeing. Um, Being a police officer, seeing two sides of the story now, I think there's something we got. There's some issue. Do I believe there's some issues in prison? Yes, yes, there are. But I also believe that to solve those issues, we have to first get to the root of the problem of not having people going to prison. How do we do that? There's a number of things we need to do, and we all, or some all of us, are guilty of it, and that is we don't vote. We do not vote. We do not vote. We do not vote. Let me make sure.
And there are, just to say that a lot of those offenders that are in prisons right now are repeat offenders. Um, and even now, most of the time when they're going in to prisons here in Alabama, for any type of incident, it's always like the murder, for instance, it's always capital murder charges that are being put on people now. Um, I don't think that our prisons, the job of a prison is supposed to be to reform those inmates and make them productive when they come out so that they don't go back, so they don't make the same mistakes. And I don't think that that's happening in any of the prisons.
So, well, we're going to try to break this down into issues, and I want people to join this conversation, but I prefer if you call Mike's line first, 205-310-6067.
We do
310-6.
have Lisa Young on the line with us.
Okay. Before we get there, let me get to another point about prison. And I want people to understand there's a difference between prisoner privileges and prisoner rights. There's a difference between prisoner privileges and prisoner rights. Now, as you can see that I have on the screen, prisoner privileges is things such as informal and formal educational programs, inmate work programs. As of September the 12th of this year, there was an annual pay for some inmates, and I use the word some, up to $38,500 a year. In other words, they're getting paid while they're incarcerated. And that's a privilege. That's a privilege for some. Their day room and recreational activities, the privilege to go to commissary and buy items, uh, personal hygiene needs, cigarettes, whatever. Those are privileges that can be taken away. Some of your rights as a prisoner is your First Amendment right for freedom of speech and religion. Uh, your right to have housing, food and drink, basic clothing, a bed and mattress, physical and mental health care, and you have the right to legal aid and representation, including filing petitions to court. I'm gonna hold up right there because our next slide is gonna be dealing with Mr. Costello Vaughn. That's where we're gonna talk. That's where we're gonna talk to about this whole conversation came about. I'm gonna just leave that on up there. Lisa, you on the line? Talk to me. What's going on?
Well, down prison. Don't forget about our Eighth Amendment right for against cruel and unusual punishment. Um, Years ago, I mean centuries, most of the prisons used to be private, and the state had to go back and take them over because of inhumane treatment, right? So when you think about that, and you see what's going on now, it used to be much worse. And by no means am I saying what we have now should be the standard. Um, when you were talking about giving demographics, I guarantee you 99% of the people in Alabama prisons would be considered indigent as well. And we all know money does make a difference. Um, I think when our legal system, when somebody with money gets fair treatment in courts than someone without money, then you know that the system is unfair.
Well, you know, I,
It's just a couple of amendments that it's the Eighth Amendment. It's just I understand when Darren says he identifies or he understands both sides, but prisoners of war have certain rights. So I would expect that the prisons of the United States, and then as they say, it's the protection clause under the 14th Amendment. So there are a couple of amendments that can be used to address the prisons because the 14th Amendment says, that they have protection against discrimination, unequal treatment, race, sex, religion, age, and the other goes into the what you just showed that they have even rights to the dentist, to the doctor, mental health. They even supposed to have rights to mental health. Even though we know prison is not the place for mental health to be treated, they do still have those rights. So there's just a lot that needs to be done to be able to implement some of the rights that the prison itself can't even implement, but they're supposed to be having, that the prisons are supposed to have.
back to what Lisa was saying. We both know justice is not completely fair, but we have to have something in place because let's just take circumstances where you or a family member is a victim of a crime, regardless if it's a theft or a cause of death. We have to have something in place for the prisons for consequences of committing this crime. But at the same time, are we expecting prison to be, like I said earlier, a 5-star hotel? Or is it meant to be a location where people can live in a decent environment and be protected to do their time and come back into society and be rehabilitated or a person that's uh, productive citizen as we all present. Let's talk about and Mike, if anyone else called, they can please call 310. Let me put the number up again. 310-6067 to get in on this conversation if you really want to get in on the conversation because I'm willing to listen to what anyone has to say. But let's talk about Costello Vaughn. Costello Vaughn. He's serving a 20-year sentence for unlawful breaking and entering of a vehicle and burglary. We just had that same problem right here last week in Tuscaloosa where people were breaking in folks' cars, stealing guns, and whatever else valuables they can find. This takes place all the time. But after so many times, I mean, this guy's doing 20 years. I couldn't find the exact how many cars or how many houses he's broken into, but he's serving a 20-year sentence, I think, out of Baldwin County or somewhere down in Mobile in that area. So he was up for parole, and he was denied. Now
They're denying everybody.
and we're gonna get to that conversation. To get to where I want to talk to about him, continue talking about him. So pictures of this young man was circulating on and it's nationally right now. It's on national news. And where we're at with this, and I'm looking up some more information right quick that I had right here. Where we're at right now with this is this young man, from my understanding now I'm reading stuff, I'm getting information from the website. This is not just me personally. The young man had some bowel blockage, I guess you can say. And before he went to prison, from my understanding, he was a victim of a shooting or got shot before he went to prison, and he had some lower extremity problems prior to going to prison. So he had some problems. He went to the prison, and from my understanding, they had to do surgery on the young man. And then in the process of doing the surgery, I think that was August the 5th, he had the surgery, and I think he received like 32 staples, and they removed some of his intestine. But to go along with that, according to some of my readings that I found, the young man signed to leave the hospital. He signed to leave the hospital without the advice of the medical technicians. In other words, he left. He discharged himself. He didn't want to stay in the hospital, so they brought him back to the infirmary. Brought him back to the infirmary. There again, he had to go back to the hospital again and had another surgery. And there again, he signed a release to leave the hospital against the advice of the medical people, of the doctors, and he was taken back to um, the infirmary. Now, from my understanding, he was placed in general population after a while in these conditions. In these conditions.
Daryl, do we know if he left, if he signed those papers to be released from under the doctor's care under duress?
And when you say under duress, for is under a threat from who?
Like the prison administration. They don't want to foot the bill of somebody being in the hospital.
And I understand that, but see what happens is under those circumstances. Let's say this young man, and I have a slide. Here's what I'm gonna just go ahead and get to this point, and then people can ask questions. All right. So Alabama Department of Correction has a form that is there's a inmate. They have policy and procedures in place that allows for a medical furlough for certain geriatric, permanently incapacitated, and terminally ill patients who meet the eligibility requirements as are authorized by Alabama State Statute Act 2008-550 and approved by the Commissioner of the Alabama Department of Correction. In other words, if this man was at the point of on his dying bed, and Alabama, saying, okay, the doctors and diagnose him as not going to live, or anyone. Not just this young man. He can file for a medical furlough. But to go along with that, who can file for the medical furlough is the inmate family, a concerned person, or an attorney. But they shall be responsible for completing the form, providing shelter and care, and financial support to the inmate. They must provide information on the inmate progress and medical conditions and special to the special needs manager. They must provide transportation to and from medical appointments, reviews, or assessments as required by the Alabama Department of Correction. Also, they must assume all financial obligation related to the inmate medical care, medication, hospitalization, nursing home, and funeral expenses. And they must immediately notify the Alabama Department of Corrections upon the death of the person. And they must provide the Alabama Department a copy of the medical examiner death certificate. So there's things and policies and procedures already in place to address this. Now, I wish Daniel Van Horn, he's on here with us, and I'm pretty sure working at a facility and a jail, he can tell us a little bit more. He can go more in depth. He can go more in depth about some of this stuff I'm talking about. But here's my here's my point I have with this. As of earlier today, there was a GoFundMe account that his sister got going to raise money. And as of today, it was up to $47,040. Now he's under the care of the state of Alabama. We as taxpayers is paying for his medical issues right now. So can anyone that's a part of this conversation tell me why is there a 47,000 GoFundMe account available for this situation?
Because his story made national news.
Now this his sister did this.
I mean, yes, his story made his sister did it, but I mean, she's his sister, and she's seeing the condition. Look at these people. I mean, you got to have. I don't know a person who doesn't have. He's in prison. He's not in prison for the worst of crimes. He's in prison for burglary, which is bad. But when you're looking at the laws of the land and what they say about treatment of prisoners, people of all races, colors, creeds, and backgrounds are having empathy. That's what we ask for all the time. People are having empathy. So what is the she may not know. A lot of people are ignorant, and ignorant is not a bad word. So the way you do something, how to do something, sometimes it costs a lot of money to even talk to a lawyer. Somebody sent her that picture. So she now has Mr. Mayor who's helping them out of Texas. But what is she to think? Maybe she's thinking, well, they don't want to pay for it. They aren't going to pay for it. We need to raise money for my brother. Well, people saw the story and he pulled on the strings of empathy, and they contributed the money. The story is open and outright. She hasn't been, from what we can see, she hasn't been deceitful. That's her brother.
I see your point. Uh, and
Because when you get to this point, to this state of health, then when do you start to look at the inhumane treatment aspect of it? People who are in prison who are guilty are supposed to be in prison.
so,
But there are, like Lisa said, the Eighth Amendment, there's the 14th Amendment, and they don't treat international prisoners. There's a degree of, you would think this man went on a hunger strike. Even when people go on hunger strikes, at some point I think someone steps in.
would you not? Okay, if someone have intestine portions of it removed, would they not lose drastic amount of weight?
Yes.
I think
And
some.
he's young. I don't know why he didn't want to stay under the doctor's care. He's young. Who knows why he decided to, leave without the doctor's consent, or with they weren't in agreement with whatever happened. I don't know why he chose to. There's a lot that could be going on with that. But my biggest issue is with the response of the prison system and the two that were in authority. I mean, everything boils down to race. I'm just gonna say it. It shouldn't, but it does. These were two African Americans, the warden and the other lady, second in charge. They were African Americans, and like Lisa said, sometimes that stuff costs, so they don't want to pay for it. But the taxpayers are actually paying for it, and
Absolutely.
prisons do have a certain amount of money. I mean, it's just when people do things, prison is what may happen. But I'm just looking at this as the humane part right now. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing looks inhumane.
And that's
And their
That's
response, their
the question
response.
that the question that I have is, okay, going through the fact that he decided to leave doctor's care at the hospital and go back to the actual prison. There still would have had to be some sort of special diet and something special that he had to eat for a little while. Are they providing that at the prison? That's my question. Usually, when you start getting into the specialty foods and stuff like that, they're a little bit more expensive. So the question is now, hey, is the prison wanting to provide this because of the cost of it? Seeing how all groceries are higher now,
This man
they
probably should have
definitely
just
don't
been
want
on a
to.
bland diet. So the prison probably that aspect of it in his situation, it was probably very feasible. He's probably on a bland diet, potatoes, rice, that type of stuff that they get anyway. I'm ticked off about the response. Like,
hmm,
if Daryl can come on, I mean, not Daryl, but if Daryl, anyone who has law enforcement, my thing is the response. My thing is that it happened, but also the response, because he had blocked bowels. And I don't know if the blocked bowels were because of the gunshot wounds. I know one of the surgeries was because of the gunshot wounds, but most low spice diet. So they got noodles in there all day long, bland potatoes and that kind of stuff. That in his situation, very feasible.
let me
My thing is the response and the treatment, and then the fact that they wouldn't even respond when media called. They told us have a blessed day. They did not respond.
let
And
me.
but then you see other inmates up in there with cell phones and all kinds of stuff. It's just
We got a
with the
caller.
response, the lack of response. Even if the response wasn't what she wanted to hear, it's the lack of response.
Let me read
There's a
what.
lack of
Let
compassion.
let me.
Right, no empathy at all.
Hold on. I have a letter. I don't have it. I'm gonna read what the state of Alabama media advisory response was, and we got a caller on. So caller, can you hold?
Yes.
Okay, hold for 1 second. Let me read it. And this is dated September the 27th. Inmate signs waiver to release medical history. Montgomery, Alabama. Inmate Costello DeMarcus Vaughn. Alabama records show in alias Costello has signed the inmate authorization for release of health records, which allows the Alabama Department of Correction to disclose additional details about his medical history that have been contributed to his physical condition. Vaughn was admitted to Jackson Hospital in Montgomery on August the 5th, 2022, for a bowel obstruction and underwent surgery. The surgery was due to a complication from a previous gunshot wound. Following the surgery, he opted to be discharged against a medical advice on August the 10th, 2022. He was again admitted to Jackson Hospital on September the 3rd for post-surgical complications. He once again opted to be discharged against medical advice on September the 7th and refused all medication. In addition, Inmate Vaughn was repeatedly refused medical assessment and medical treatment while in the custody of the Alabama Department of Correction following his return against medical advice. From Jackson Hospital, the Alabama Department of Correction offers medical assessment and treatment to all inmates, but does not force them to accept that care. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, everyone.
Come on.
Hey, how you doing?
It's Daniel.
Yes,
Daniel?
Hey,
I've,
Daniel.
I've done a lot of medical transport as well as worked in the healthcare area. And from my understanding, when I was doing it, was every call is on the doctor, whether the inmate goes out, what kind of treatment he get, how long he stays. Now, I've listened to what everybody say, and I've seen the pictures as well myself online. And there's no way in his condition that he had the power to sign anything, especially a release. That man looked like he's gravely dead. But the policy that we was under was when you do a medical transport, each prison has its own doctor. It's the doctor call whether that inmate goes out, how long he stays out, and what kind of treatment he pays. It's not really about the money like everybody is saying. But an inmate cannot just say, I refuse treatment and it goes away if they're sickly like that. It doesn't work like that. It's going to be the doctor's call. I mean, because we've even had someone to die at the county jail because the doctor didn't allow him to go out. So,
and then isn't even like in the cases of a person on a hunger strike, don't at some point they step in?
Well, like a hunger strike, they're gonna do what they can do. You can't force a person to eat,
right?
But at some point, they're gonna come to a compromise with them to at least try to stop it.
Right. Okay.
That's not gonna just allow people to hurt themselves. I mean, that's not the purpose of the job. The purpose of it is to protect them and supervise them, and make sure they get everything that they need. Now, when I first seen those pictures of him, I literally cried because it made me think back to when I worked at Bill. And for a long time, we had a problem with our infirmary. Inmates weren't being seen, they was getting sick, they were dying. So I was so happy assigned up there. So what I did, I created an organized list for all the appointments, and we ran a tight shift. And before long, everybody was always being seen. Nobody missed a medical appointment. Everybody got seen like they should have been seen. But it took the officer in that infirmary and the people that the nursing staff in that infirmary to work together to make sure the inmates get what they need. Yeah, a lot of folks will say, oh, they're malingering or this, that, and another. Don't let that be your call. Let that be the doctor call. Because as an officer that worked with me found out, a guy came up there when she took over my post and he was complaining about chest pain. Well, wasn't nothing going on in the infirmary because everything was already done. So she was pretty much sitting there while I worked the child back door. Well, the inmate had chest pain. I told him, go on in the nurse to see because, it was running smooth. Well, she said no and put him back out. The inmate dropped dead. The moment he dropped dead, she felt like, well, this ain't my post, this is bad for my post. But if the officers and the working staff work together, Mr. Vaughn would not be looking like he's looking. And Mr. Vaughn cannot make that call about after having a surgery state. That got to be the prison doctor.
Let me read a letter from Ben Crump and Lee Merritt Esquire. Costello Vaughn hires national legal team after prison-elect goes viral. Attorneys fight to secure medical treatment and investigate neglect in Alabama prisons. September the 24th, 2022, Montgomery, Alabama. Costello Vaughn, the black man whose neglect and mistreatment at Alabama's Elmo Correctional Facility sparked a national outcry, has retained a team of national renowned civil rights attorneys, including Ben Crump, Harry Daniels, and Lee Merritt, to secure emergency medical treatment and investigate Vaughn's mistreatment and neglect at the hands of state correctional officials. Alabama state prisons have a duty to provide the appropriate medical care for Mr. Vaughn while he remains in their custody, Merritt said. Prisoners are entitled to the same basic human decencies as all other citizens in our country. We have begun working to ensure Mr. Vaughn receives the care his conditions require while investigating whether or not agents of the state of Alabama violated their duties by allowing his medical condition to spiral. Mr. Vaughn reportedly underwent surgery in August to remove a portion of his intestines as a result of a gunshot wound. Rather than recuperating at the hospital, Vaughn's family say he was removed from the hospital and placed in general population at the Elmore Correctional Facility on the same day as the surgery. Now, due to inadequate facilities, abuse, and medical neglect, Vaughn's condition rapidly deteriorated. However, correctional officials rebuffed pleas for help and only transferred Vaughn to Scranton Correctional Facility after dramatic photos of Vaughn showing his rapid weight loss and likely infected surgical scars went viral on social media, prompting a national outcry. Unfortunately, attorneys argue that the conditions at Scranton are no better than they were at Elmore. Hold on. This is horrific, said Crump. Let's be clear. The state of Alabama has tried to deflect any action or responsibility for Mr. Vaughn's condition at every turn. If it wasn't for these pictures, the media spotlight, and the resulting uproar, we might have never known about the neglect, and Mr. Vaughn would have died in the public before the public knew anything was happening. What the officials at Elmore Correctional Facility and the Alabama Department of Correction did and failed to do for Costello Vaughn is nothing short of torture, and they think transferring him to another prison makes it all better, said Daniel confirmed. If they treat a dog like this, they'll be arrested for animal cruelty. Apparently, the state of Alabama thinks Mr. Vaughn is worth less than a dog. Now, one more comment. Vaughn's attorneys say they are working to make direct contact with Vaughn and connect him with unbiased medical professionals who can evaluate his condition and make recommendations for the necessary and appropriate medical care as their first priority. But they have not ruled out the possibility of civil and criminal legal action. Go ahead.
They're looking at that picture. You can tell inmates help Mr. Vaughn around. He needs help to do everything, even sit up. So the same day that he had her, they want you to believe that he said he didn't want to stay in the hospital. Do they really? I mean, they are some great story writers, and they can sell you this. But you can look at that man gravely conditioned and tell that's not the whole story. That's why I asked, did he, when they said that he left against doctor's orders? How can he know? I just can't believe that he signed a form in that condition. I don't believe anybody would sign a form saying that they don't want any doctor in medical care.
How do we know he signed it? As a nurse, this is really ticking me off. It's really ticking me off because if he signed that and wants to be released, they never say anything about him fighting not to go back. They never say anything about him not budging not to go back to the hospital.
They're not mentioning whoever the prison doctor is at the facility he's in Elmwood. Mm-mm. So right there, that's the first contact because he's the only medical advisor that they're gonna take advice from. So where's this prison doctor?
No communication, and that's what the family's talking about, and that's part of why they had to go fund me to raise money for a lawyer.
You know, I know cameras aren't allowed in jails and prisons, but this one time that I'm glad to say, thank you, Jesus, so it can be exposed.
And we know that prison is not supposed to be a 5-star, 4-star, or even 3-star hotel. We know that.
But you still gotta treat people with humanity and respect. I mean, they get a crime or whatever, so might not supposed to be in there, but still, they are a human being at the end of the day. But again, it goes back to a person being indigent and people within the justice system knowing that these individuals ain't gonna jump up and go get no attorney. They know it. But they know they can't afford it. They're banking on the fact that you can't afford an attorney. Or they're banking on that.
Hence the GoFundMe.
Even if they could afford an attorney, oh, they know how to play hide the pickle now.
That's
Oh, you know that. You picking one somewhere else, and by the time you get your attorney ready, oh, what you talking about? They don't know nothing about it. They got amnesia now. Well, because they're not gonna own up to the accountability of what they supposed to be doing in those facilities.
Well, let me bring this to
are y'all familiar with the group on Facebook, Alabama Prison and Advocacy?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I've seen it a few times. Yep. The things that are posted in there lets you know that it's not just one prison. It's systematic. Mm-hmm. It's systematic. And what they're counting on, and when I say they, that's prison administration, the governor, uh, whoever's over Alabama prison, they're counting on people like us turning a deaf eye to what we see. Then when it does get some attention, you go on there and they talking about how the guards are retaliating. I mean, I don't understand how anybody, a guard, could work at a prison, see what's going on, and go home to their family and not be scared as hell. I mean, I would be on my knees praying every day, hoping that nobody I love go to prison in Alabama.
But
there's repercussions for that officer that speaks out. Trust me, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be terminated for some little frivolous reason. When they do show, that they have decency about themselves and not gonna treat folks in the kind of way.
well, but still, we got to go back to and I'm glad Daniel's on the phone with us. So the conditions of a prison. What's the ideal condition of a prison uh, that we want people that committed crimes, that have raped, killed, steal our community, sold drugs, caused corruption, caused death. What results are we asking for? Conditions do we want our? I mean, do we want to build a 5-star hotel and tell everybody to go live in it? And hey, you go to the dentist every Monday and Wednesday, and to the doctor every Thursday. Tell me, I would like to really hear.
But like I just stated, they're not going to be in a 5-star hotel, but basic humanity, some of those privileges can be done away with that they have. Commissary, take that away. Going out, hitting it, whatever. Some of those things can be taken away. It is a prison. We know that they're not going to get that treatment. And some of the stuff that we probably was like, ooh, this is bad. But what I have a problem with is something like this, not the other stuff.
Okay, we got Valerie Adam on the phone with us.
Go ahead, Miss Adam. I'm gonna let Miss Adam get it in. Go ahead. Go ahead, Miss Adam.
Well,
Hey, go ahead.
I mean, I was just trying to get in on the something you just passed the conversation about his son's release. It's contradicting what his sister said about he was released right after his surgery. The news article is saying that okay, he had the surgery on August the 5th, but he was discharged on August the 10th. Mm-hmm. So that they're saying that he stayed in the hospital for several days, mm-hmm. but then he asked to be discharged. Mm-hmm. But the sister said that he was discharged the day of the surgery.
Oh, wow.
So I'm reading this article, new details released related to the medical care of Costello Bond. So this doesn't make sense. And like the other gentleman said, if he signed a release that same day, he was still under anesthesia, a medication, hard medication. So he could not have signed that because he was not in his right mind.
Come on, Valerie. That's what I'm saying. As a nurse, this takes all out. You can't drive or do sign anything important for 24 hours.
Okay.
No. He couldn't do that.
So
whatever they're saying, those attorneys, those big attorneys are going to rip them apart.
Here's
any person knows that. A lay person like me knows that they come to me and tell me, okay, you can go home if you want to, and I'm all groggy
Come on.
And then I say, yes, I leave. And then they're liable. The hospital is liable.
Can he talk is my question, because it don't look like he can even talk.
He couldn't even talk.
See?
Okay.
He couldn't. He was out of it. the thing is,
it appears that they're trying to create a paper trail for
told them to be. The warden said he's got to be discharged because they didn't want to pay the hospital bill. It's all about the money. The paper trail, the money paying the hospital bill.
It's money
taken away from their budget. It's taken away from the budget. They're not going to spend any money. And the thing is, you don't see this with these federal prisons.
Let me read it.
It's not a 5-star hotel. Prison is not a 5-star hotel. You tell me, go to a federal prison.
But they're talking about the white collar prisons also.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the white collar prison.
The federal prison.
That's what it is. The federal prison. Where they go? Where they sent Lori Loughlin, where she could just walk in and out or whatever. It really
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart.
But see, that's the difference when you're talking about somebody that's indigent, they go to a state prison. But when you're wealthy, they'll convict you of a federal offense and send you to federal prison so that you're not treated inhumane. But here's the thing: the very fact that they do that lets you know that the state already knows, everyone already knows you don't want to go to a state prison. We already know how you're going to be treated. We already know what type of care you're going to receive. I mean, go on that page and look at some of the things that they feed those prisoners in retaliation for they are protesting and posting on Facebook.
Yeah, and everything. To me, I wrote a comment on Facebook. I said, at least they can take care of put property in quotation. You always take care of your property since everything is privatization. They're making billions off of these people, off of these black males, and the industry. They're making billions. So you need to take care of your property, their property to that industry. And that's why they are not giving them parole, because their bodies, the bodies bring in
money.
That's the whole thing.
Well, the Department of Justice is now investigating that case. What I would love to see is someone going to jail themselves for the inhumane treatment of these prisoners. Because here's the thing.
It won't happen. Only thing that happen is they'll lose their job.
Well, here's the thing. You know that there is a conspiracy to cover it up. Now, what happens if you're convicted of a conspiracy?
Yeah.
I'm doing hard time.
Well, but it goes back to, and Darryl said it from the beginning, and I say it every time. People will not get up and vote. And the first thing I thought of when I saw that picture on social media, shoot, they need to vote. They need to vote the governor out, because ultimately, the governor is the one that whose shoulders that falls on.
Yeah. But she has a soft spot for prisons anyway, which is why she used COVID money to get ready to veto these super prisons. Hold on, but you say a soft spot? No, that's a line her pocket.
So that's, yeah, but
That's not about lining their pockets. Well, you
Take it
I
out.
mean, I was being facetious, but yeah.
you're being sarcastic with that one, right?
Yeah, that is very sarcastic.
But somebody should be held accountable. But people got to. I don't know how many times you can say it. You have to go vote. Yeah. You have to go vote. This would not happen if every African American that was able to vote voted. You could change. We could change what Alabama looked like.
Before you,
the blue wave can come in.
Before you go into that point right there, I do have a point on that, and I want to bring that out. Tough on crime politics is what they call it. A sentencing crisis. What they're saying is there's an excessive sentence for thousands are the result of policy by elected leaders, but are driven by failed, tough on crime politics. In other words, when we go to the polls, and I'll be the first one to say this, it does make a difference on who's sitting in that bench when it comes down to your son or your daughter, your cousin, your brother, or yourself being sentenced for a crime, even a traffic ticket. It makes a difference who that person is that's sitting on the bench.
Strike law, and that's what sends a lot of people to prison.
I'm gonna get on. Hold on. I'm gonna get to that point. I want to get to that point too. But at this point is it makes a difference when we sit back and say, oh, it ain't. They're gonna put in office who they want to. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
All those comments.
Not 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. What was I saying?
Same thing.
About every situation that we talked about.
Yes, this is important.
So people get tired of hearing about it, but not.
In November.
3 years ago.
In November, this makes a difference right here in Alabama.
Yes, it does.
In November, this makes a difference. Judges, district attorneys.
Watch and see.
I got into an argument with somebody that was 40-some years old that sat there and still saying, she's 40-something, almost 50 years old, still saying these people are going to do what they want to do. I say, yes, especially when they have people like you who look like us that are complacent. Yes. With the little freedoms we got through the 80s and 90s, and now those freedoms are being taken away because you're so complacent.
Yes. 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 But we got
You're complacent. And I would not allow this to stay on my page. Y'all be fussing about what people that be on their Facebook page. Well, guess what? Hell, Zuckerberg that's down there, it'll stay on there. Sometimes FB don't even let the right stuff stay on your page. But you, Facebook, and you control your page. And I would not let you push the narrative that voting does not count on my page. I delete it every time.
Yes.
You can call me narcissist, you can call me what you want to call me. That's what I believe. So you take that what you believe over there on your page. Because see, other young people are seeing stuff on my page too. I got friends that's from every age to every age. and they see that stuff, and then you sitting up there perpetuating that narrative in their head. They're gonna do what they want to do. That's what we're trying to get out of their heads.
We got to
Yes.
break
I
that
guess
chain.
they gave away a pair of Jordans.
We got to break that chain, y'all. And Lisa, that is an idea. If you go vote, we're gonna have a drawing. Put your name in the drawing box for a pair of Jordans. It don't make no difference, whatever size they come in. But listen, we got to break that chain of the fact that November the 5th, it matters who's the governor of Alabama. It matters who's
Yes,
these
it
senators.
does.
It matters who's these senators and representatives in Alabama. It matters who's these judges in Alabama. It
The
matters
Secretary
who's the
of State.
Secretary of
What
State, district
what
attorney,
what can
district
you lose if
attorneys,
you go to
district
jail?
attorneys. These all
Your
makes
right
a
to vote.
Your
difference.
right to vote. Right to vote. So the more people, even if they get released, as long as they can keep incarcerating people, they're extinguishing their right to vote. So they're harder to get it back. And people don't even realize, yeah, it's part of a plan. It's part of a plan. When you try to, and Veronica, I feel your frustration. Because when you try to tell people, it's imperative that you get to the polls and vote. It's imperative that you take someone to the polls with you. They look at you as if you the crazy one. Right. And I don't care if she's reelected. You become voted. When you go down to municipal court and you sit down and you look around that court, it's like, man. By yourself. Man. I mean, like, what percentage are we of the population? How the hell, excuse me, how in the world does this happen when you're on 13% of the population? Daryl gave those statistics. If it was representative of the population, right, you wouldn't even have that many blacks in prison. So that lets you know that you're being targeted. That lets you know. Because when you go back and look at statistics of who commit more crimes, right? And don't get no time either. But see, I don't get mad about that anymore. I don't get mad because little Susan did a hit and run. Tore somebody's leg off. Do y'all remember the girl that did the hit and run, killed somebody down 69 South? They said there was a police officer. Do y'all even did anything? Did you even hear that she was arrested? I don't even remember that. I don't remember hearing that. She hit several people. Somebody lost a leg. What happened with her? Because I don't remember what happened with her. Oh, I asked about it. No. I asked about it. I called flack about it. But because her daddy, who her daddy is, or who her daddy know, she don't even get prosecuted. Not like Jermaine will. I'm not mad about that because you know what? We have. I beg black folks, do not skip out on jury duty. Please go vote. Please apply for the police department to work as a police officer. Man, don't nobody want to be the police. But then you want to talk about, debate, and cry about how blacks are mistreated. And will argue you down when you're trying to tell them why they should vote, why they should get out, and why they should do what they should do. Gotta put ourselves in a position to win. And piggybacking on what she was saying about the young lady that hit those people, I can recall at the Tuscaloosa Detention Center, you had a group of white young males, all up between the ages of 17 and 19. With 19 and 18, you're supposed to go to the county jails. But because of who their parents were, they was allowed to segregate the detention center. They put all the blacks on one side, all the whites on one side, with the exception of one little young black male on the side with the whites. And I'll say this, it's no way possible if there was a group of young black males
that they wouldn't have been charged. Now they did everything from breaking in cars, stealing cars, burning down folks' house, arson, you name it, they did it. And they all got off and walked out of there, eat McDonald's. They stayed 3 days. When their parents, one of their parents was a police, one of them was an attorney, one and a few of the other ones worked at Mercedes. But it's about the people, like she said, getting out and voting and putting people in office that's going to be firm, fair, and consistent when it comes to the law is what we need to rule the law of the land.
I want to bring out one
You
other.
got people that sit up and waste their vote. You got people that sit up and vote for somebody that ain't never voted. So that's us. That's us. That's us. We're gonna vote for somebody to represent us that ain't never voted.
A part of that got to do with we got a lot of folks who get all the information from this their platform that we broadcasting on right now, or TikTok, or Twitter, or
But they are informed, but they don't care. We follow too many fads. It's just like I said. If they were saying if you vote, you get a free pair of Nikes. Please, please. Or a free pair of Jordans, I'm sorry.
Gotta be
So
Jordans.
you can't tell me they don't know. They don't know, they don't care. We don't care. We don't care until something impacts us directly. We don't care when it's happening to somebody else.
Let me bring out another point. Another point in relation to this. A drug treatment crisis. Alabama failed to expand Medicaid, limited public funding of drug treatment and rehabilitation options, leading to dependency on prison for people who need medical treatment, not punishment. And a third one, racial justice crisis. 50%, now these are old statistics that I found now on this. 56% of Alabama inmates in prison is black.
Mm-hmm.
75,
I think it's more than that now, but yeah.
75% of the people serving life without parole sentenced under the Alabama three strike law are black.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about who's in office, who's the district attorney, who's the judge, who's the governor, these people make Secretary of State. These people are very important to your everyday citizens. The traffic citation.
If you have somebody there, now you're going to get me started. Now here we go. Now, if you have somebody that can be arrested for threatening retaliation on Facebook and they can't get out for good reason, but you have a white girl, and they're black now, but you have a white girl go on Facebook in Walmart, brandish a gun, and say, I'm going to shoot some ends in Walmart, get charged with disorderly conduct. That's your district attorney.
It's the judge also. Because
yes, the judge also, but what judge did they recommendation
from? The attorney got to bring charges for them to get in front of the judge. Though.
No.
The district attorney didn't even want to put them in front of the judge. So.
No. But then that same district attorney, when somebody tell him that you would have, when I said, had she been black, you would have found something more severe to charge her with. He then goes on a campaign to tell all the black folks, Lisa is divisive, Lisa is this, Lisa is this. And then you have black people, Negroes, to damn sit up and go do his bidding for him. Sambo. That's the thing right there that I'm talking about.
Well, Lisa, that's been going on for a long time for they go because
so if Lisa is divisive, what are the African Americans that are sitting there feeding other African Americans that jump So basically, cow down, do as you're told, because we the master and we know. Because otherwise, then you following Lisa. That's the answer.
Could you imagine how small of a man you have to be to go and put your mouth on a sister that's telling the truth, and you know she's telling the truth because this white man said you need to go out there and settle up her name in the community. But here's the thing: you ain't doing nothing making your own self look bad because everybody know. Hell, what I said all the damn time, I'ma tell it like it is. I don't care who you are. I'm the same person every day. So you can't tell nobody anything about Lisa that Lisa ain't already said.
I always found that African American women are more braver to speak out and speak up for righteousness of our people. I've noticed that. I've seen that, regardless of circumstances, because there's no repercussion, or they fear no repercussion. There is, but I want to stay on the point of the prison situation. This prison situation, because this does relate back to who's going to be in office November the 5th for our governorship, our Secretary of State, our Treasurer, any position there is right now that makes a decision. Let me make a correction. Okay, so I think Mike said, or someone said, the district attorney make a decision on the charge. Now, what happens is it is supposed to be investigated to decide is this was a terrorist threat or would they water it down to be disorderly conduct. Normally, it would be the higher charge because there were certain circumstances that met the criteria of a terrorist threat of the Walmart. We're talking about the Walmart person.
Mhm.
So if you present it to the grand jury as a terrorist threat and it get knocked down, then they had options to knock it down to disorderly conduct or something of a less charge.
So, so what if someone had met her with deadly force for her doing what she was doing? That would have been. Uh,
I don't
I
want
mean, you
to.
making
I
a
don't.
threat, and then somebody take heed to that threat, and they meet you with deadly force just as worse. What
It
happens there? Is it self defense or is it
that
a
there
homicide?
there again. You got a scenario where it got to be decided by grand jury, and who presents the case to the grand jury is your district attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's how this how it works. This you get arrested, you go to jail. If it's a felony, you have a pretrial. Then it goes to grand jury. If they find probable cause, then you're bound to guilty or not
Did
guilty,
she
guilty or
did she
not
go
guilty.
to jail?
She went to jail.
She was detained, I would say.
She was arrested,
But
but as of what the outcome, I have no idea. But more than likely, uh, by
I
being
understand she didn't stay there no more than about 3 hours.
well, right, and that's a and see
That's like DUI.
that's a
You
right
know, holding
that's
the drunk tank, public intoxication.
that's
Yeah,
a
3 hours.
other than domestic violence and drug offenses. I mean, alcohol offenses or DUI. Then you must stay a certain amount of time. But misdemeanors for is disorderly conduct, harassment, normal stuff like that. Not DV harassment or anything. You have to stay 24 hours. But any other charges such as those, you have a right to make bond if there's a bond permitted. That's every individual right. Um, but
But there,
mhm,
going back to what we were talking about,
mhm,
the importance of voting
mhm.
can can change the outcome in
The
whether
decision,
you go to prison or not.
the
Yes,
decision maker.
yes. Because I can say I'm gonna use it as it is defined. More Democratic judges will probably be more sympathy to the circumstances of
Mhm.
of of of, of certain cases, even in serious cases, because I think we put like more in depth of an investigation or ask more questions in relations to okay prime. This is just a. This is not. This could be a real case, but this is nothing that I know of ever happened or to anyone prove. So I'm gonna use John Doe and John Joe. So John Doe and John Doe was convicted of a crime back in 2017, possession of marijuana in the first degree. Went to court, never showed back up. Warrant put out for his arrest. When they tried to serve him with the warrant, he ran. Or he gave him the false name and then he ran. So now you got two new charges. You got obstruction justice and giving a false name and attempting to and attempting to elude. So
Mhm.
that judge might consider this right here, where he ran because he didn't want to go to jail. He had a warrant for his arrest. He gave a false name and he ran because of those circumstances. Now, are there charges for that? Yes. But to me, you and a couple more people sitting on the jury would understand a black man got a warrant, don't want to go to jail because he's working, providing for his family, or trying to work and provide for his family, and he gives a false name because it's the wrong day, wrong time to go to jail, and he decides to run away from the police. Are those
They gonna
charges?
pay when he get his income tax.
Those are charges. YES. Yes, yes, yes. But the judge behind that judge that sit behind that circumstance, is he just gonna be strictly bound to the fact that this man already committed a crime, a drug offense, and now he's stopped by the police and I'm talking about foot running. I ain't talking about driving through traffic and all that call and that kind of stuff. But he runs from the police, gives a false name, and runs from the police, and apprehended in a short period of time. Was it that his lie
My Lord, the man burned up.
was his lie actually that bad that he need to serve another 10-year sentence behind something like that?
Nope. Exactly. I just wonder when they gonna start that when people do get in trouble with things. If they want to just put you in jails in different things, whatever happened to the fines?
That comes
You
back.
know, you can give a person a better chance opposed to locking them up all the time to paying fines and give them a certain amount of time to pay it.
Oh, it's about the privatization. It's about making the money.
I mean, with that double jeopardy, you paying the money and you going to jail.
Well, it's not double jeopardy because
That's
that's
wrong.
part of it. most
You,
most
you got fines. You have to pay fine and do
Go
the
to
time.
yes,
double
yes.
jeopardy.
So it's not double jeopardy. They're not being
Uh-uh.
tried twice for the same crime.
It's double jeopardy because they being punished for the
But
same.
you know, double jeopardy legally is that's not what double jeopardy is. If you saying this is double jeopardy, they're gonna be like, no, this is not what that is.
Take
Mm-mm.
that as what it says in the law. They're saying that's double jeopardy for any person.
Well,
Well,
I
Yeah.
see what he's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
I see what
saying
you're
it's like
saying,
you're
but
being punished for that crime over and over again.
you
double
got
punishment.
you
I
Okay,
would say a double
double
jeopardy.
punishment.
kind of like restitution.
right. That would be
Mm-hmm.
the question. That
Mm-hmm.
would be the correct
It's
answer.
restitution. So
Pay the court
you
costs.
got to pay that.
Victims
But even that could
victims.
be even that can be seen as a means of oppression because if a person got to take their money that they will be paying light bill, putting gas in the car, or buying Pampers, or just basic necessities, if they got to take that and pay a fine, you are still putting undue hardship on the family. You know, I'm all for community service.
Okay,
Yeah.
Lisa,
Let me do community service.
I'm gonna have to jump in on that part right there because that leads up to what about the victim of these crimes?
Mhm.
So,
Because
money is for the victim, isn't it? Restitution?
no. Well, some of it is, but it also goes to a court cost. But the way I'm hearing, or Lisa can correct me. So the way I'm hearing it is, it's okay to commit a crime, but when it comes to paying that fine, let's be a little lenient because we want to protect him more than we want to commit the person that he snatched the purse from and caused the little lady to fall, who had to go to the hospital, who had a broke arm or a broke wrist, had to stay in the hospital for at least 5 weeks because of all the other deteriorating health issues that he caused because he tried to steal a purse.
I'm talking about victimless crimes. I'm talking about somebody driving with a suspended license, driving without any proof of insurance, um, um, um,
Tickets,
failure,
traffic citations.
failure to appear, where it just seems like you're further victimizing or further and undue pressure to the person with everything else that they have going on.
So
Yeah, it's almost like I know people that say I've heard people say I just rather sit it out a weekend. And I'm thinking, damn, you rather go to jail? You could die there. These are people that do not have the money. They don't have the money.
But Lisa, let me ask you this: you got a car and you have insurance on your car, correct?
Yes.
And you have that insurance because just in case someone hits you or you hit someone else, that you're covered. If a person can't afford the insurance, there's I still agree there's other ways of transportation these days other than driving without. I'm just using driving without insurance and license as an example. I mean, where do we draw the line? And the guy I talked to earlier today, he said, I guarantee you, a majority of the people that you're going to talk to today is going to be more empathetic to circumstances of people being of our color being put in criminal situation. We're going to be black women. And I hope he was going to call in. I'm still hoping to call in. And he said because the black women have grown to be so sympathetic to our young black boys that they want to cover them and won't allow them to be uh, the men that they need to be. And that
Let me there.
come
Okay. So here's the thing.
on.
When it comes to, and I'm gonna use my boys, I want my boys to have the same advantages and the same allowances as um Skipper and them do. Because if my son, if I got a teenage son, he doing stuff that teenagers do, driving fast. If he driving fast, and let's say you got an open beer in the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but we know the implications of driving with a container in the car in the state of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
We know that that's going to have implications in the future when they're trying to be gainfully employed. Yep. So everybody noticed that's why Skipper, daddy is called, and he gets to go home while DeMarcus gets arrested and gets a record that has further implications than it should, because we all know that the frontal lobe isn't even fully developed until they 25. So why should
21, some say 25.
Okay, but why should you be in your 30s paying for something or suffering from something that you did when you were 15, 16 years old? And they don't do it to their kids. That's the thing. If they did it to everybody, what could you say? What could you say? But when you know, these little boys when you know these white boys be at the school with guns in their car.
And they look at people, well, how dare you challenge it? How dare you challenge us protecting our kids? That's how they look at it. How dare you challenge us protecting our kids?
And you telling me so-and-so got arrested because he got a gun. Well, I guarantee you, if they go down to Hillcrest High School.
Oh, you know, they like to hunt, though. That's what it is. They like that.
It doesn't matter. If they go down, you're not supposed to have it on school property.
They do. What
if you go down to Hillcrest High School and stop every truck coming up out of there, do you think they're going to give every last one of the boys a concealed weapon charge?
Nope.
Okay, case in point. There was an incident, there was a circumstance where there was a drug bust on the university campus. Everybody that got caught was arrested. There, you know this. Can the city police come on to university property and arrest the student now? Nope.
If it depends, it depends on if the crime
There's a
happened.
procedure. I work there. There's a procedure, and the students know it. They know it. But if you know where I'm going with that, there.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lose my job.
I understand what you're saying.
So we're not treated the same. Our kids are not treated the same. Our kids, when they need to apply for a job, I can't apply for a job. Well, mom, my license suspended because of this, and this. You know, you thinking, oh my God, as a parent, you think, oh my God, I wish you would have told me that. You gonna still be dealing with this 10 years from now. But they will not, absolutely not. They will not do it to white kids. And every white person that I talk to in law enforcement swear up and down they will stand on a stack of Bibles. We treat everybody the same, and I know it's a lie.
But you said something earlier, Lisa, that made common sense that people don't understand. You cannot encourage more African Americans to take this job as law enforcement, because in order for it to get to court or even the citation to be written, they have to be pulled over. There's numerous of times I'm pulled people over and saying, "Look, you're going too fast in this neighborhood. Look, you didn't stop at this stop sign. You yielded. You ran that red light. You don't have your insurance." There are numerous of times these circumstances were made aware of. But how many people out there can continue or consider, okay, here's a warning. Do not run that red light. These are the laws of traffic. You must come to a complete stop at a stop sign. You must yield at a yield sign. The sign say 25 and you're doing 75. That's too much. That's reckless. In other words, what kind of educational programs do we have on that? We used to have driver's education. That's no longer there no longer. It's mama get in the car, daddy show me how to drive, and all of those small things for yielding and stopping, coming to a complete stop. Those things are not taught like that anymore.
Now they have driving school down. It's right down P Street. Yeah, I mean you have to pay for it, but I mean they do have a program. They have a driving school.
What?
Yeah, I'm saying. It used to be in the schools, though.
In the school system.
You right, Mike.
It used to be in the school system. But
So
just
was civics, American government,
mm-hmm,
Alabama government.
mm-hmm.
All that was in the schools.
All of those classes, and
Why they teaching that?
they are important. They were important classes. Those were important. American government, civics, any of those classes were very important for you to start
just like
thinking about
Daniel
your
said,
right.
what is the curriculum now? What are they teaching them?
What they teaching them?
I don't know. That I can't answer.
They can elect to take those. But here's a civics lesson for you. Watch Alabama election in November and see, do the governor serve her full term? If the governor don't serve her full term, who becomes governor?
Lieutenant governor.
Lieutenant governor.
Okay. Watch it now.
Get out and vote now. It's time for a
Watch
change.
it now. Because the Republicans know the person that they want to be governor would never be elected governor. I guarantee, I would bet that Kay Ivey is elected and does not serve her full term. Nobody's paying attention to who's running for lieutenant governor.
But if it's
you about right. Like I said, if you listen to that lady talk, I'm surprised she's running now. To be honest with you.
Well, and I have to look into it to make sure. But if it's say she get elected and it's more than a year left on the election before the re-election, then they might have to hold a special election. I'm not sure. I have to really look into that and see. It's a certain amount of time. I know under the local law, that's how it is for us. A person.
You know they done already took all that into consideration and accounted for it. But here's the thing. The Republicans every time out strategizes Democrats. Every single time in Alabama. Because they're looking, while we looking at November, they looking at 2026, 2027. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Our party, I won't say is broken, but it's definitely fractured. They put people in place. Is one thing that I can say when Trump was in office, they knew exactly what they were doing when they was putting in place federal prosecutors and federal judges.
Hmm.
They were very systematic about it, and they went about it, and they did what they were gonna do.
Let me read a couple. Of
While
comments.
we were sitting up arguing over minute things.
Let me read a few comments from the audience right quick. Cal Porter made some comments earlier I didn't get to. Let's see. He said, regardless of what he's done, he didn't and doesn't deserve that. Talking about the young man. He said, yeah, back in the early 90s, three-strike law went in effect, pushed by your current president. Let's see. Val Gibson says Secretary of State is blatantly running photo ID campaign ads in the 45 voice on top urban stations in TTown. Ads are clearly aimed at Magna and are divisive. Yolanda Flowers says no, Alabama doesn't need new prison. She supports overhaul of Alabama criminal justice system. And she also said only retired Judge John England would use this kind of rationale for blacks that you're speaking of, Daryl. That's correct. Let's see.
Agreed.
Yolanda Flowers for governor, and they look at future elections when we don't even think about that. And other comments. These are things people must take in consideration. This young man, and don't get me wrong, if there's an opportunity that medical, and I'm trying to see where everybody at on this point. Should he got a 20-year sentence, and his medical condition must meet certain criteria for him to be considered for a medical furlough.
Medical release.
Medical release, furlough, whatever they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So, at what point, other than the family filing a lawsuit, and y'all, I'm sorry, I'm not, I just ain't for this GoFundMe. I'm sorry, I just see that as a
How else is he going to be helped? Because we see how the administrators are responding. We already know what the ADOC, the Alabama Department of Corrections guy, is going to do and say. They're hanging up on them. So
okay.
how are they going to have a lawyer?
Okay, because that's one of
There,
that's
there.
hold on, let me say this. Because that's one of the rights of an individual to have legal representation as an inmate. That's one of his rights. Number two, he's the medical once he the surgery that he already had, we as taxpayers are already taking care of that. Number three, the money is going to the sister. Cash
I
out.
know.
The
Hey, I
cash,
need to
the
fund me
cash,
now.
the
Whatever
cash,
she has put to go
the
fund
cash
and
apps, the
it is
GoFundMe is
for
going
she
to the
has to use
sister.
it for that purpose. If she don't, then it's considered fraud and she can go to jail for that.
Right.
But
The thing is with the GoFundMe is this: if people see enough people in the state of Alabama see people donate to that to help him, that might help for them to do the right thing in his situation. It ain't always about what the how much money is raised, but the people that's in control of making this decision about this man's life to do the right thing. A lot of times we get mistreated because we don't have enough support.
Because that's definitely not doing the right thing right now. And that's just like somebody, God forbid, getting in trouble, not having an attorney with what they had a right to, and saying, oh, well, the state provides you a public defender. Who does the public defender work for?
The state, and they the worst folks from law school.
Okay, so even if the money, if there's money for that, they're trying to save every penny they can get. That's why those prisons be wanting all that money and all that extra on the books to get all that junk food, because they'd rather eat junk food than to eat some of the bland food. But that food is just part of prison, stuff like that. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about this right here. In order for him, these people are not even responding, telling folks to have a blessed day. Then they lying, creating a narrative, telling her this woman said they said that they spoke to he had spoken to his family. His sister came back and they got representation. They have not. He had not spoken to the family. As long as it's being used for what it said, and like Mike said, if it's not, then she can be held with for fraud.
Their response should have been no comment.
I still say it's 47,000, and y'all gonna see what I'm. It's gonna come out later on about this money. I
I
can.
hope you're wrong, Dale. I hope you're
If
wrong.
there's some fraud involved, then that's going to be on her.
But there again,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
an
She gonna
innocent.
go to jail and then she gonna have to pay it back.
Wait.
So
But here's
only
an innocent.
to
Here's
reimburse
here.
every person that put into that account. I've been seeing a lot of folks that they have, they don't use it for what they said that it was up there for, and that's fraud, and they wind up having to pay it back in restitution, and then they also get in trouble legally.
Let's think about this. Okay, first we gotta prove how long. Okay, she gets. Let's say it's gonna probably exceed 47,000. I could probably tell you. I probably look it up and see if it exceeded $47,000 right now.
If I don't exceed 100,000.
But my point, can somebody
Well,
please show me at
that's
what?
just a minor.
No, please show me where this is. Okay, the attorneys being Crump and Merritt and Daniels is doing this for free.
Okay, now if they doing it for free, I don't understand why she having to raise that money.
But see, they might be waiving. When they say free, Dale, that means they might be waiving certain fees that you might have to pay for to file certain motions and certain appeals and stuff like that.
Okay, let,
So
let me let me go.
might mean you don't have to pay my fee.
Let me go to the Facebook GoFundMe page right quick, and let's read what this the reason for this GoFundMe. I'm gonna read exactly what they said the GoFundMe is for. Hold on. That's the only problem. I keep telling you I have a problem with some of this. Okay. The GoFundMe read, and right now I'm looking at $47,694. It started out we only needed 15,000. Okay. My brother Costello Vaughn, he's currently an inmate placed at Elmore Correctional Facility. I'm coming to you right now based on my brother's health. My brother's health is rapidly declining. As you can see in these pictures, he is extremely malnourished. In these particular photos, he cannot walk nor stand. He is weak and vulnerable. My last visitation with my brother was July the 24th. He was in good condition. I am not a doctor, but his health seems to be deteriorating. I received 2 pictures of him today saying, "Get help." I'm asking for you to simply share or donate what you can. This is violating human rights. I don't see how you cannot get help when an individual is in this state. Anything y'all can get will help. We are trying to get him a good lawyer in order to get him so help. Thank you.
So she started out thinking she needed to raise money for a lawyer or to get her brother some good medical help.
But now, Daryl,
Hold on,
them
I got
McCourt man probably was not on that case.
They weren't.
Yeah.
hold on,
They
hold on,
weren't.
hold on,
They
hold on, hold on. Vimo, Cassius Vaughn dash 2, Cash App, Cassie Vaughn, money sign Cassie Vaughn. Do y'all see where I'm going with it? This is not for the foundation of Costello Vaughn. This money is going directly to her. This money is going directly to her, y'all.
I mean, he can't use it. He can't. If she's working on her brother's behalf. I don't know somebody on this phone that would not work on their brother or sister's behalf.
Yeah, I mean, she
He's incarcerated.
Do we
She have
not?
a foundation. She didn't set up a foundation. She just thought that she'll just put it in her account and pay that way. It's the only thing I can think
Shit.
Everybody thinks cash out. Nobody like right, Mike. Nobody really thinks about, oh, let me establish a foundation. Let me set it up to the bank. Everybody thinks cash out. Now she or GoFundMe. If she does, and then they're gonna take so much, whatever they take. If they find that fraud is committed, she will be charged. Or she will be held accountable. I don't know what GoFundMe, how they deal with it, but there is fraud. There are rules against fraud with GoFundMe. And he can't do the GoFundMe. And then from what I said, because Dr. Rashard Richard don't just share GoFundMe's on his Young Turks page that are fraudulent, or that he would think would intend to be fraudulent. Dr. Rashard Richard just not going to share that. He has sent a private investigator down to Elmore County.
And he contacted them directly.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if she is doing it for fraudulent reasons, Dr. Rashard Richard is not going to back that.
He also featured our lady that was gonna kill some people in Walmart.
Sure did. He featured the preacher. He featured the preacher in Choctaw. Was it Choctaw? Childersburg.
Yeah, Taliban.
Childersburg. So he's not gonna he whatever a lot of people do. The first thing they think, especially African Americans, and I'm not trying to be funny, but a lot of times we don't have the knowledge to do. And I'm not saying the knowledge because you're not academically intellectual, but sometimes people just don't know. Okay, let's do this way. The way to do it, like okay, it's better to do it this way so it won't look like you're having personal gain. You just thinking, okay, GoFundMe. That's what you see that everybody else uses to help them. Regardless, they think about it regardless of what color it is. First thing people think about is GoFundMe.
I hope I just wish you knew all these lawyers around here work together.
The way she got set up now, the taxes gonna eat her up because it's gonna be like that. It comes to her, so they're gonna take a good chunk of that. I bet tax wise. So if she had set up a foundation, she would have been able to keep more of that toward what she was trying to use it for.
That's people do what they know to do. People do what they know to do. People who know how to maneuver in a different way, they don't even put stuff on social media a lot of times unless they have no choice, and that's what brings us attention. People who have the means and they know how to do it in a different way, they don't even have to do GoFundMe's and stuff like that.
But if your heart is to help, you give it and you just know you giving it to help, and what happens to it after that, I mean, that's on you.
That's on her. She's being fraudulent.
Well,
I think that legitimately she doing all this with a sincere purpose. I don't think that's a right thing. I understand the your reluctancy to think that, hey, what I'm saying, this stuff going directly to her. I just, like Ron was saying, I just really truly think that she just did not. She don't know all the ins and outs. Like, she had maybe an attorney to help her set up that. He would have set up a foundation so that all that could have went. They would have had an accountant and all that stuff to account for every last dime that was in. But if she's doing this all on her own, she probably don't know to do that. Which a lot of people probably don't know. I don't even know how old her sister is. She might be a younger lady. And you really truly can't expect a whole lot of young people to know how to do that. But people do that.
But she also have a chance to let the lawyers know that they're a part of it to set up something, so people won't be, suspicious about it. Let the lawyer, okay, this money that you got, let the lawyer set something up. This is what this for, and then maybe people open their hearts and mind up to the situation again.
Absolutely. And it would be interesting to me to see her attorneys, the three attorneys that she have now, not go to her and say, okay, well, we can put this in a foundation and it can be for our expenses instead of our actual fees, but they do have expenses that they have to have too.
That's right.
Some sort of investigation.
Yeah. That'll be the best plan for her to let the lawyers take it over. Even though the stuff for her, just let them take it over. She and just spend all the money that way and go from there.
Seriously, if she did that, would you feel more comfortable with it?
I think if the attorneys had more control or what direction the funding would go, but at this point, I guess I'm still I'm looking at the photo, and you compare the two photos. Is it that the photos are playing more of a role on your decision about, because let's just be honest. Most organizations, now don't get me wrong, do I feel that there's a neglect in the state prison system? Yes. There are some bad conditions in employees, wardens, even conditions um, of the facilities themselves. So the state has went in and done that. We even have a bad, even our county jail here locally need rebuilding. So yeah, there's an opportunity to bring some things up to par. Is that Lisa? Is Lisa in fail already? But oh. We were just gonna say, go ahead. You can hang up and listen.
I ain't spend neither one of y'all time.
But I'm just saying, in certain circumstances, y'all, isn't the photos playing a role in everybody's mind of then and now?
I would say that it would be, but generally when they start talking about different things and trying to pull on your heartstrings, they do use the worst photos, like they did with the Feed the Children campaign. They'd always show those kids um, just really, really, really thin. They got bugs flying all on them, and they all in their eyes and in their mouth, and they can't even get hey, you'll be like, hey, if I had it, I'd send it to them.
I don't get exactly what you're saying about the photos there. I think I'm getting what you're saying, but Are you saying that once you see the before photos and you see the after photos, that that's pulling on people's heartstrings?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the pictures are factual though.
I'm not denying that not factual based on the medical report that that
Had
this
that been photoshopped, had that been proven that they were photoshopped, that they were not legit pictures, that would be a different story. But the pictures are factual.
they are factual. They are factual, and I'm basing it on the fact that I've seen them
So, and
or
I think that that's why she put it up so that people could. I mean, that it would pull on people's heartstrings.
Daryl, imagine that was you and that was Sonya fighting for you.
mm-hmm,
Imagine that was you and it was Sonya fighting for you.
mm-hmm, I do.
And she didn't know nothing like she don't know. But she see you in that condition and she want to get help. Put your mindset there. What if that was me?
They're
Oh,
not Photoshop. They're factual. I mean, I don't know that they're factual. I hate that they're factual. And it's not like they're pictures from years ago, and she took it to try to perpetuate a story of that's today.
All those pictures
This
were
is
taken.
within a couple of months. This is within all of this happening.
I just
Yeah.
Had she not put the pictures up, then who's to say he would have gotten any help?
I think where I'm at is I just don't think there's a state agency that would be that uh, unresponsible of circumstances of this nature.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that one, because as long as folks don't know, they will be like that. And now that folks do know, now miraculously they'll be trying to do something.
But there's an agency because it's Alabama did it, and they did not respond, and they said that she had to be on the list, and she was on the list. Sometimes people just do bad things.
All I can say is this. I've heard and seen a lot of lies coming from the state about this situation. And what y'all see in those pictures, some folks see it every day.
Hmm. Yeah. Now I did talk to another guy that works in the facility. Say there are worse circumstances.
That's right.
Well, you remember the pictures that we saw from the prisons in Mississippi?
Yes. Yes.
Who knows what's going on over there when it comes to people's, their well-being? A lot of it was talked about, but nobody, they just showed most of the conditions. But they did talk about things over there. So, I mean, this was brought to the forefront. My whole thing is, if you're supposed to treat prisoners of war a certain way, what about United States prisoners? And anybody who's committed crimes, they need to be right where they're at in prison because we have to think about the families. We have to think about the victims.
That's secondary a lot of times, and I don't want that to be secondary based on the conditions of prison. I don't want that to be secondary.
See, that's my thing. But you have to think about the family. You have to think about the victims.
Yes.
But right now, you probably have some victims who would not be okay with this, just like a lot of victims are not okay with the death penalty.
True.
But what about people that
Or families of the victims?
that never did anything?
There is a percentage of people incarcerated who
are innocent.
Or like him, he. I mean, I don't know how he's gotten in trouble. How many times? Been across the board. When you're talking about, because I don't know if Timmy with the same charges, the same number of times, would have 20-year sentence. He's been in there so far for 4 years of this sentence. So this happened. I guess he was incarcerated at the age of 28.
And he's been denied.
So it won't be out until 48 unless something happens or they change their mind or 48 years old. You have to think about the victim still because what he said burglary. Mm-hmm. So it's just when it's I know armed robbery, you rob somebody, but with burglary, was there another person involved? I know that there's a victim because you broke in and entered into their car, so you burglarized.
Hold on, people in jail for possession of a burglary tool if they have a screwdriver. So if every time the police stop them and they got a tool on them and they call it a burglary tool, you get 3 strikes. Now you're considered a burglar. That's interesting.
Well, no, this charge was the one. He's one of those people that going around pulling on car doors and stealing people's valuables and guns and going in folks' houses based on the
So
charges
no
that
victim, no, he didn't actually rob the person, but he burglarized their.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Property.
I don't know any details of the circumstances. I just know that's what the charges are.
Because that's my thing when they talk about how it's like the victim. You have to always, I have to think victim first. Even though I can be empathetic to people's situation, I have to think victim first, and then I have to kind of know like, okay, what are they in there for? And then sometimes you get to the point where you have these activists that it does to them. It doesn't matter what they're in there for. When you see something like certain things, it's like, okay, is this prison or is this torture? And where in the laws is it saying that prison is going to be torture?
Well, here's how, and I'm looking from a police perspective. I mean, are there certain crimes that you say, certain felony crimes that you willing to say, okay, slap him on the wrist, give him another chance, and then is there certain circumstances that, uh, wait a minute.
Lisa. Let me call her. No, she getting good sleep.
Woo, she dozed off, you know.
She getting good.
So, is there certain circumstances that we willing to say, uh, these crimes are not acceptable to be punished? That's why they come up with, they have alternative sentencing. They have programs. But once you continue to do them, what alternative do we have in society other than to punish them?
You know, there one time TPD brought a guy for criminal trespassing. He was getting off work. He was riding his bike home. He was suspicious to the officers. They pulled him over in the parking lot of a closed business. And so they brought him to the jail for criminal trespass at a closed business. Well, whoever the supervisor was on the ship that night said, no, release him. That's not a charge. You stopped him on that lot. Mm-hmm. But they were willing to bring him to jail. Now, when you have supervisors that make decisions when y'all are getting ready to lock people up, it's gonna go back on that supervisor as well for what they're charging them. Yeah, Lisa said good night.
So, good night.
I didn't want to just hang up on him because I didn't know she was here,
But we're gonna get ready to end it anyway. It's been 2 hours, but we might have to have a part two. And I just want to go back to describe what we're talking about tonight, or what we did describe. We're, the young man. Of course, everyone's seen the pictures of Costello Vaughn, prisoner serving a 20-year sentence for burglary and UB&E. Okay, that's everyone knows that. Everyone sees that. But I think the accusation of the state of Alabama mistreating, malnourishing this person, I think there's a need for a little bit more thorough investigation on everybody's part, and that's what I think the attorneys will find out or do to make sure that there's it's not like an obvious, being Crump say, okay, such and such got shot by a white officer, or by the police, period. Okay, there's evidence because sometimes there's the body cam, blah, blah, blah. These are pictures, true enough, that this person, Mr. Vaughn, appears to be neglected of humane treatment, neglected of medical care, neglected of food. I mean, that's what it appears to look. That's how it looks. I agree 100%. I raised my hand when I first saw it. When I first saw it, I was saying, man, they can't be treating people like this. But there's a need to make sure what the state has said and what the sister has said to see what actually happened. That's just me now. That's just me.
When you go behind closed doors, like behind the doors of a prison, you may never know exactly everything that happen. So you got to go with what you do have on their part.
And because we have had so many different things that happen, especially with people of color, you tend to have a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm wondering if the sister was feeling like a lot of stuff that y'all saying ain't what went on with me. Something ain't seeming right, and that's the reason why she feels what she feels, and that's why everything came out like that. Now that very well could be the case. So we'll have to stay tuned to that whole entire situation to see how it comes out.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely will continue to keep abreast to this circumstance right here, and we also, I thought we might have had a few more people that has been incarcerated that could give us more insight of this being overly done or worse, or oh, he looked good compared to more people that been inside. But this is a conversation that we don't want to let go. And that number three is my problem with this Cash App and Vimo. I'm sorry. I just I just have.
Now, while we talking about this,
Uh-huh.
did y'all hear about the young man that assaulted the lady at Publix here in town
I
on
seen
the
some.
campus of university?
I
Like
seen
a
some.
60-year-old lady, yeah, wouldn't
Her eye socket, she's gonna have surgeries. I forgot how old he was, young man though, maybe 28, 24, something like that. It had some type of had past words or something, and he just attacked the woman. Like, I don't know what she said. She may have said the N word. I don't know what she said, but the attack was horrible.
But and see, let's look at that, Veronica. Let's look at that, Veronica. Let's just say it was just a misunderstanding over a basket or a piece of meat in the cooler. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
Is this man not due to punishment and confinement to cause this kind of medical uh, problem to this older lady?
That's assault.
Yes, he is. They upgraded from whatever, from third to second or something like that. Anyway, his bail went up to 50,000 from I think five.
So okay, so he's at assault two probably, but now let's just say he go into the county jail, and just so happens he gets sick. Somebody get a picture of him, blah blah. What about the victim? We jump on his bandwagon of free Ray Ray, but Ray Ray just committed a crime we all know he committed, or in this
But
circumstances
see,
he
that's the
punched.
thing though. There is nobody's gonna say free because you know how I am about that. Free. Somebody did something to somebody, they have to pay. They have to go to. They have to deal with whatever the charges are. But if he gets in there and he and look and what we've been talking about tonight, mm mm. Because I don't know what happened with him. Yeah, there is a victim, and victims come first.
Thank you.
He it's known he we know that he did it. But we don't know what his mental state was. We don't know what happened. We don't know. I just know whatever she said, it didn't. If she could have got to call the N word, whatever, talked about him bad, he shouldn't have did that. But what was he on that day? Was he on something? I don't know. And if he was on something, drugs, I mean, you made the choice to take drugs, so the victim comes first. The thing about it's not about a freedom. You talking about inhumane treatment. There are laws that are stated amendments that says how prisoners are supposed to be treated. It didn't say what they did or didn't do.
Well, we want
They
to
aren't
keep.
supposed to have 5-star hotels. They aren't. They're not supposed to have 3-star hotel treatment. They're not probably supposed to have 2-star hotel treatment.
Not even a part. A lot of these prisons right now are there's a thin line between that and 21st century slavery.
But what does that cell phone in the prison says? There's a lot of contraband in there as well.
That's true.
Ooh, that's part
Oh,
two.
there's a cell phone in there. There's a lot of different contraband in there, including drugs.
Wait. That's part two. That's part two of this. Don't you bring up part two of this.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned earlier. They can get cell phones and stuff like that. But
that's
then
that's
because when we talking about privileges and rights, and some of them on these cell phones even making albums up in there, getting them sent out, coming out with deals. So and they're saying that they aren't supposed to have contraband. So that is contraband, but some of them still have these devices. And Mr. What's his name? Castell's family, he's probably glad that there were cell phones in there because what would they have been told about him had nobody leaked the images?
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Now that's part two.
So you said, yeah.
We're gonna keep part two under there because we need to talk about the conditions of other prisons. For let's go into the conditions of the other prison. The guards not being paid enough. The guards undermanned. The guards being
Ooh, yeah.
mistreating the inmate.
Yeah.
There have been several arrests lately of correctional officers and wardens that have been removed or fired or resigned due to being just low down. I'm gonna just call it
Yep.
what it is.
Excessive use.
I think one of the officials in this case had been suspended or removed or something before
So
recently.
Yeah.
so so that's part two of this, and but at the same time,
But I
the,
just wonder who had heard about the little lady and if anybody had an update. I know they said that it would probably require surgeries, a couple of surgeries on her eye.
That's all they need.
it's we got to decide. Okay, if John Doe is guilty of a crime, he must do the time. I'm just firm on that part. I just and I do have some sympathy, empathy under some circumstances, like from we've seen where people that commit crime mentally, but they don't need to be in prison. They need to be in a mental facility as an alternative for getting help mentally. You know what I'm saying? And I firm agree with the fact that there's people that has a drug problem that commit crimes. Now, those people that have drug problems that commit crimes, is it property crimes or is it people crime? There's a difference. Uh, one need to be determined which one is more severe than the other. If it's a property crime, yeah, it's still a crime. Don't get me wrong. So, in other words, breaking into Family Dollar and stealing a cooler or some beer, yeah, that's a crime of burglary. But when the officer caught him or her, let's test them to see are they under the influence of this new drug, and we're gonna talk about that new drug. We never did get a chance to talk about this candy fentanyl that's out here, this colored fentanyl. And, man, it's just so much we can talk about. But there's a place, or need to be a place, where there's a alternative. I ain't saying a Taylor Harden type facility, but you incarcerated to get treatment by demand of the courts. Do that make sense?
Absolutely, and we need to talk about that. I think we do need to talk about that because that's one thing that needs to happen more so, especially with these inmates that are being sentenced and they are addicted
Mm-hmm.
to some of these illicit drugs.
Correct.
And that's going to be I'm not finished of another conversation. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay. That's something that we talk about on Thursday because that is something definitely that need to be looked at. I said it at the beginning. Most prison is supposed to be for reform as well as incarceration, and I see very little of him.
Okay. Well, we will do a part two on the prison debate. And I thank everyone that chimed in, that could chime in and talked about it tonight. Thursday, 8 o'clock. Um, part two. Part two. There are some issues that need to be addressed in relation to prison conditions, prison operations, and we also need to talk about let's keep our people out of prison. Let's re-educate them of not going to prison, not committing the crime. It's too many jobs out here now that people can. And where is it that you must make $25 an hour for 8 hours, um, with 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 less time coming out of high school? Who said you're gonna get $25 an hour coming out of high school? Not saying that you're not entitled if there's a job position that you can do, but this instant gratification of being rich or having more money than mama and them is just out of reality, y'all. We don't you hear no one saying minimum wage anymore. Minimum wage is way beyond anyone talking. You got people minimum wage is still what, $7.25, y'all know that, right? Or $7.35. So anytime you're making one, two, three, four, five, $6, $7 more than what minimum wage is, do you really have a valid complaint?
Yes, because the cost of living go up, but wages don't.
But the wages at $16, $17 an hour, Dan. You remember when we were coming up, the only place, only place, the only place that were paying $15,
$1.85 when I first started working.
only place that were paying $15 would be of Goodrich. That was good money at B.F. Goodrich then.
That might. Yeah. You
So
got a job at Bill Goodrich or when we came out down here, it hadn't even been built yet. So
You right. Fight for why?
fight
yeah,
for
and Hut
J,
Oil and
JVC and
Bill
all those
Goodrich
places.
was the spots.
Yeah. That GMC place they used to sit there where where the garbage disposal place is now, that Delco.
Mm-hmm.
Delphi.
Delphi. That was a good job too.
Right.
And
Yeah, ooh, yeah, what you talking about with Delphi clothes? Lousy. That was it, dog. Ooh, that back now, I keep it updated. Boy, if you met a man or a woman in Delphi.
all right.
You're right.
You can wait to get promoted on down to be a good bitch. You Delphi, you all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Boy, Delphi move. Some of the folks move with Delphi.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
Ohio.
they just shut down totally. I think there was one in Texas or somewhere.
I want to say Ohio. I want to say it was Ohio that they moved to, up north, somewhere. But look, y'all, we're gonna continue our conversation about the prison debate on Thursday. Um, hopefully, like I said, we'll get more people to chime in and give their side of the story. But we want to bring out other issues that's dealing with the prison system, the neglect of the prison conditions themselves, the abuse by the guards, the sexual abuse, uh, uh, in neglect of the system protecting the individual rights inside the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We have a lot of recent cases too. Remember the lady that helped the man out?
right, right.
Wasn't that Alabama?
Yeah,
Yep.
that right here. Sure was. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday. I appreciate everybody that chimed in the conversation. Miss Gaskin, thank you for chiming in. She made a comment. Let me see what she said something I want to read. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Oh, she said, I'm a person that believes that crime should be punished, but an inmate constitutional rights are not stopped when he's incarcerated. Alabama
Yes, sir.
mistreated Alabama mistreated him by not providing medical care after surgery. Uh, and she also said published the release to prove he signed it. So there's more to this story. We will find it. We'll find out more information about this story with Costello Vaughn on Thursday. I'm pretty sure there will be something in the news within the next day or two, and we'll share it on Thursday. So I appreciate everybody that chimed in with us tonight about this debate of our prison system, and we will bring up: do we need a mega prison, or do we need to spend more money on education? Uh, our community more on education of how to become a skilled person. And no, we're not going. I'm not going to talk. We'll talk about it on Thursday.
Oh, again.
All right. All right, y'all. We appreciate you,
All right,
and we'll talk on Thursday. Y'all take care.
y'all. Have a good night, y'all.
All right.
Good night, everyone.